welcome to Tween Tuesday. I'm Miss Cindy from the South Brunswick Public Library. Today's Tween Tuesday craft is going to be an upcycle project. Basically what we're going to do is turn something that is usually disposable, a paper plate, into something that we are going to keep forever, which is a kind of keepsake bowl to store, anything in, your headphones, your keys, your small things, paper clips, anything like that. So basically we're just going to need a paper plate and a little bit of yarn and some time, and you're going to end up with something, instead of being disposable, it's going to be something that you can keep and that you can customize to make your own. So let's go. Okay, we're going to get started making our woven bowls out of a simple paper plate. Let me show you what you're going to need. Paper plate, obviously. Yarn, I'm using thick multicolored yarn. Scissors, and a pencil. So the first thing you're going to do is kind of figure out how big you want your bowl to be. Essentially what's going to happen is the plate is going to kind of get folded up, and that's going to turn into a bowl. So for example, I'm going to be using this tape as my measurement. So I'm going to put it here and then draw around it. And then this is going to be the size of my bowl. So you can freehand it because it doesn't have to be like a perfect circle, or you can find something that's roughly the size that you want your bowl to be. Remember, the wider that you make the base, the shorter the top is going to be. The narrower that you make the base, the taller the top is going to be. So I think this is a pretty good size for the bowl that I want. So that's what I'm going to use to trace my circle. Now, I am showing you the white paper plate, but I actually painted a paper plate black, and not very well, but it's okay because it's going to be covered. I painted it black a couple days ago, and now it's dry. And I'm going to be using this mostly because whatever color the plate is, they're usually white. That's the color that the base is going to be. You can paint it if you want before, you can paint it after. You don't have to paint it at all. You can leave it completely white and just unpainted, that's fine. But I thought it would be cool if the plate was kind of black, so I just painted the whole thing. And so that's what I'm going to be working on. So the plate itself is a little janky, but it should still work. So I'm going to just hold down my stencil. It's tape, but I'm going to call it a stencil. And make sure that it's roughly centered. And I'm going to be using a pencil just to outline. The good thing about pencil is it shows up on black, so I thought it would work well. So again, this is going to be the size of my bowl, and then these here are going to be kind of the size of my walls. What you're going to want to do is draw lines coming out from the circle outward. And what you want is an uneven number of lines, and you want them to be spaced somewhat evenly. So what I do for that is I kind of freehand it, but it's okay if you want to measure, feel free to do all that. I'm just going to eyeball it here. So let's say that's 1, so let's go with, here will be 2, that's about 3, that's a little wide, but whatever, be 4, 5, and make sure you're keeping up with the number of lines, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just so that you always know. 6, 7, and I think I can do 2 more here, and that will make it 9, 8, and 9. This is definitely wider than this. They're not perfectly even. As you see, it's, a little janky, but it will still work. So what you're going to do first is, after you've drawn your uneven number of lines, so starting here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Good. It doesn't matter how many it is. It could be like 21, or it could be, 5, as long as it is an uneven number. what you're going to want to do is cut up till the circle. I'm not worrying too much about cutting directly on the lines, and you'll see why in just a second. But first, let's get through the whole plate. Okay, so now these, like I said before, are the pieces that are going to go up, right? But the problem is that they overlap a lot. So what you need to do is you need to thin them down by cutting the lines into kind of V's. So starting from one corner and then going to another corner. So you want to go from out kind of in. So this one I made a little bit wide, but it'll all even out in the end. The yarn will cover a lot of mistakes, and it'll still kind of look cool. So don't worry too much about making mistakes. That's pretty much what I say every time we make any kind of art, right? Like, yes, maybe it's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be unique and it is going to be yours. It looks kind of like I'm making a sun, except this is like a really weird black sun. Okay. And again, you want this to be kind of a V shape from the center of the circle out. And back. Alright, so that's a lot better. Now you'll see that when they come up, and again, you don't have to do this, I'm just showing you. You see when you come up, they don't overlap as much. There's a little more distance. So, let's get this out of the way. And in the trash. Now you're going to take your yarn. And let's find the end of this yarn, which is, here we go. I'm going to unroll it a little, but I'm not going to cut any off. I'm just going to keep working from the same spool. I don't actually know what it's called. But I don't know how much yarn I'm going to need, so I'm going to just leave it rolled up and pull out as much yarn as I might need. Now start literally anywhere you want is fine. So I'm going to start, let's say here, because why not? And you put it in. I'm just kind of holding on to it to the side here. Now what you're going to want to go is go in and out. So since I started it with it in here, it's going to go out and then in and then out. And that's what you're going to do to start. I like to leave a nice long tail because I can always cut it. I can weave it in. I can, tape it if I have to. It's just easier to work with if you have it long, and you can just make it shorter later. So in and out, in and out. So again, the tail is here, so I'm just going to move it out of the way. And in and out, and in and out. And you're going to keep doing this the whole way. Actually, since I do have some tape with me, I'm going to put it on my skin a little bit just to take some of the extra stickiness off, and then use it to stick my tail here. That way, it's out of my way. Now, for the first few rows, you're just going to keep doing this and you don't have to worry about the sides. So let's say 3 rows here. That's what I did. And once I get back to the beginning, I'm going to kind of fold these up. Because I want them to stay in this shape. I don't want them to stay open like this. I want them to close up. So I'm just kind of folding them up a little bit. See? See how it's kind of turning bowl-like? So now I'm going to keep going. And you just have to keep doing this over and over. Make sure you're pulling it taut. You don't have too many loose pieces here. And make sure that every once in a while you're checking it just to make sure that the pieces, the sides here, are staying up. So I have to unroll a little bit more. Okay. And you keep going out, in, out, in. And you can see the outside, and you can see the inside. So I'm still going, but I'm also making sure that I push the yarn down every once in a while so that I'm not getting any gaps. I also would definitely advise against using a yarn that is too thin, like a string or a twine. A chunky yarn will A, help hide your mistakes better, and B, cover the bowl, well, what will be the bowl, a lot more evenly than string will. So if you can get a yarn that's nice and thick, that will work really, really well for this. Okay, so I'm getting to pretty much where I want to end. So what I'm going to do is cut my yarn, take a little bit of glue, and just glue the yarn to here. And I'm just going to cut this end. Alright. I'm going to do kind of the same thing to this, where I'm just going to glue it in place. That's what I decided to do. So I'm going to cut it and then just glue it in there with some clear glue. Once it dries, it should be good. Okay, you can leave your bowl like this if you'd like. That's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the edges over a little bit to protect the yarn from coming out. So let's find the one that I glued and start from the one after that, because that'll give this time to dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, take some clear glue. You can use hot glue for this. You can probably also use a glue stick for this as well. And I'm going to fold the top of my bowl just over it. Like that. I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. Okay, it's still going to be a couple more minutes before the glue fully dries, but I have folded down all of my top pieces and now have a working sturdy bowl. I can go ahead and put stuff in. All out of a paper plate, some yarn, some glue. Pretty easy, doesn't take too long, and it's a pretty chill craft. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's activity. I hope you guys learned something new, and I will see you guys next time on Tween Tuesday. Bye!